recording a video, just like I would have been doing if I were broadcasting live, but I'm doing it asynchronously. Good evening, everyone. This is DGSD 395. This is a video that I'm making after the fact, after the end of the day, to tell you some things that I would have told you during class today had we had a synchronous session. I wanted to start it off the normal way, so I had the countdown there. Excuse me. This is going to be kind of an informal video in that I'm not going to edit it, but hopefully it will get to the point and show you some things that are useful that I can actually tell you about our website, our Canvas course now for Applied Digital Studies. So I've got it set up here, as you can see, just like you might see it. I've logged into Canvas with Student View, so I hopefully am going to be able to show it to you the way you would normally see it. So let's take a look. I've got a lot of things to show you. I've got some things that are I'm still tweaking a little bit, but they're good enough to show you, and I thought it was important to get it out for you and show it to you now. So I'm going to do that. All right, so looking at the homepage, several of these links actually work now. I'm going to actually start here with the schedule. This is actually not so much a schedule as an outline, and what I've done here is break down the different units of the class and explain them, explain the goals and the outcomes, or the things that I want you to learn, and then the things that you'll be doing in each of these sections. So first off, we're going to be talking about living and working with algorithms, and as I explain here, what I mean by that is, first, yes, we do live with algorithms, and they help our lives in lots of ways, and they also, do things that aren't always so great, or people use them to do things that aren't always so great. But I think we can learn about those if we also work with them, like understand how to write a program, how to understand how programming works. So it's living and working with algorithms, and that includes a bit of programming. And that's what I've been working on and I've put together as a module for you, and I'll show you that next. I've also, after that, we're going to take a look at artificial intelligence. And this is a similar set of things where we're going to learn about what people are doing with AI, some things people have said or wondered about AI, and then we'll do a little bit of playing around with some machine learning so we can actually try out AI and see what we can do with it. The next unit, we're going to talk about connections and how things are connected and how things are built together. We're going to talk about the history of social networks and social media as a way of communicating a social network. And there's a lot of interesting things going on in that space right now in terms of different platforms and deplatforming platforms. And there's a lot going on that I think might be interesting to talk about. Who knows, it might be different by the time we get to week 7 and 8 and actually talk about these things. But one of the things I want to do there is talk about a historical point of view on social networks and take you all the way back to the 1990s to invite you to build a web page and add yourself to a different kind of social network that we're kind of doing as a recreation of a way that people did that back in the 1990s. Lots more to say about that later. Weeks 9 and 10, we'll look at interactivity, which is a big part of design for many of your projects. And then, of course, completing the big projects will take up the final weeks of the semester. And really woven throughout, especially starting within the second node here, there's really a parallel outline for this class that is your big project. But we'll talk about that once we get into node 2. It's kind of built into that. But that's the content, that's the structure that I'm planning to build the rest of the course around, and I've started, and I really do have most of it built. In fact, I can show part of it to you today. I'm not going to show you all of it, actually, partly because I still have to update a lot of dates, but also like I don't want to overwhelm. And I just published like 10 pages in assignments in the last hour or two, so you probably saw all those notifications in your email, and you're wondering what the heck's going on. So I don't want to publish too much yet, but I think there's enough that we can start exploring. So let me go back to the homepage and see if there's anything else I wanted to show you from here. Of course, as you know, there's announcements at the top, and you can work your way through that. Oh yeah, over here on the right, you can see, or directly above me, I guess, you can see the list of things that are coming up. And this includes, I guess I didn't realize, but this actually will include announcements. So as this student, I haven't actually looked at any of the announcements yet. You should make sure you read all the announcements, obviously. But I've also got some things in here that are assignments, and some things in here that are pages, and some things also that are discussions. Those aren't showing up here currently, but they will show up as they get nearer. The idea there is that I want to make sure you kind of know where to jump in, and at any point in the class you kind of see where you're supposed to be, and you can jump straight to that content and find your way in it. So that's the idea there. Some of the times it will be something you actually have to turn in, but most of the time it's just a pointer to say, here's the page that we're on today, or we're on tomorrow, whatever it is. Okay, so the actual content for Node 1 is now under here, modules. Remember, a node and module is synonymous, essentially. Like a module is organizational structure or a container for a node. It's semantics. It doesn't really matter. But this is what you'll see when you click on modules. You'll see Node 1, living and working with algorithms. And I've got all this content in here. And so one way to navigate it is as I'm doing right now, which is just to look at it as kind of a table of content and a schedule. So you've got, each day here is listed as a heading, essentially, Wednesday, February 3rd, Friday, February 5th, Monday, February 8th, and so on, and you can kind of go through it. Like at this view if you want to, and you can jump to this view by clicking on modules over here, or there's various links embedded and interwoven here that'll take you back to this page. Eventually there will be the other three nodes will show up here as well, but for now I'm just showing you one at a time. So when you start the node, it starts off with an overview, and in this overview I list basically everything in here with links and a little bit of context. This page almost is for me so I can remember all these things, and it's kind of an index or a directory of all the things in case you're trying to find something you can't remember what page it was on or what day it was on. Most of those things should be here on this page. There's even a few things here that didn't end up showing up in the actual module content, so oh well, I guess that's free content you can just find and look at if you want to. Like the digital redlining article, I don't think I included that. I want to, I like it a lot, but I'm not entirely sure where to put it. So it's there in the index. You're welcome to look at it. And this Cory Doctorow piece, I don't think I found a place to put that either. So anyway, and Safe Surrender, I don't think I put that anywhere either. Anyway, the point is there's a lot of good stuff here. Most of it will appear linked on a page. We've also got some things that you'll be doing here as you work through this module, as we work through it together, I should say. We've got several discussions that I'm going to invite you to participate in, and several pages of code practice that I'll show you how to do. And then the big thing that you end up with, it's not big, but the thing that you end up with at the end of this module is a reflection and manifesto, really the manifesto, but I'll invite you to reflect on things a little bit too. So going through it, I'll show you a typical day. Well, actually, I won't show you a typical day because this is the first day, this is today, and this is not a typical day. One thing that's obviously unusual about this, if you look, is it says down here, please watch the video embedded below. That video is not embedded yet because I'm recording it right now. So I will embed it after I finish recording this and upload it. But you can kind of see the other things here that hopefully makes sense. The way that this is structured, I've got kind of this header format for each of these pages. So you see like what is the date today, what is the format for class today, what are we trying to do, and then what should I do after class. So I have several things to do here, and I'll go ahead and mention these. So first of all, actually I wanted to move this to the next. I'm going to move this one to after Wednesday, but I will later. But the idea in general is that you read what's coming up after, and then you go from there. So what I would like for you to do after you watch this video and before class on Wednesday is take a look at a couple things. So this is an excerpt from a book that used to be and kind of still is the textbook for this class, but I have not required you to buy it. It's optional if you want. But this is part of the appendix. This is a few pages from the appendix of this textbook about exploratory programming is the term that Nick Montfort uses. He's the author of this book. And this is a way to explain kind of why program. Like he kind of raises an interesting question here. A lot of times books or syllabi or courses that are built around teaching people to program don't spend a lot of time like asking why you want to do that. Like why would anyone want to program? Why is it a good thing? And so he spent some time thinking about it and talking about different people's approaches to that question. It's pretty interesting. So read that and also take a look at Douglas Rushkoff. I need to link to his essay, but he also has a take on this. He also has an argument. His is more, I guess, I would actually say theological than anything, but it's interesting. It's a little bit less practical, I guess is another way to put that. If you'd like, you can also watch him basically say the same thing in a lecture form if you want to watch him talk instead of read his words. This is good enough, right? I mean, this is basically the same idea in video form. And that link does work, but I'll add the other link there in a minute. But that's how you read a day of content for this class. It's going to be organized like this most of the time. Okay, so going ahead, moving through the module. Here's Wednesday, February 3rd, and I don't think I'm going to go through each of these pages right now in this video. I'm really just trying to set up the basic structure for how these are organized. So you can see that Actually, maybe I did want to keep that there. Okay, I need to look at this again. This is the plan for Wednesday now. So Wednesday, the format is going to be a live stream lecture on Twitch. So no face-to-face this coming Wednesday. February 3rd, we'll be fully online, and I'll be fully on Twitch, as I've been doing. Before class, you will have read the excerpt from Nick Montfort and Douglas Rushkoff. You notice I've just copied and pasted the same thing. So like whichever day you're looking at, you see what happens. You see what you're responsible for between those 2 days. And then the goals today, I'll fill in that a little bit. But then after class, you've got a couple more things to do. So we're going to look at some ideas from Kathy O'Neill. You can listen to a segment from the podcast On the Media where she talks about it. You can also watch her in a video form talking about it. She has this idea that she calls the weapons of math destruction. And it's a pretty interesting way and a really clever way to explain how sometimes math can be used destructively. And often it has to do with rhetoric and the kinds of those stories we tell with math. Really interesting, and she's a mathematician. Like that's her or a statistician, I think. So that's her wheelhouse, and she's able to explain it really well. So that's the idea. And now we have a bit of code practice. So I'm actually going to go next to get to it because it should be here in the next tab, or there's a definite link there. Oh, here's the Y program bit. That's a discussion page. Actually, let me go back. Sometimes these links are really slow. This is the discussion. I'll get to the code practice next. After you've read Nick Montfort and read or listened to Douglas Rushkoff talk about why programming or why code, take a look around. And I've got a link here to just literally DuckDuckGo searches for learn to program. And you can find like each of these pages is a different, like each of these top things here is a different place where you can learn how to program, or links, or like a list of places you can learn how to program. It's all over. And so you could probably find a lot more even. And there's some really quirky ones and some that are targeted at specific audiences. But there's a lot. And so I'm not going to tell you the prescriptive list. I just want you to go see what's out there and see if you can find among those, like why are they saying you should, not why should you take this program, but why would anyone want to learn how to program? Like, why would this be something that anyone should do? Why is this a good thing for people to do? Why is this a thing? So read those things and then come up with your own ideas. Like synthesize that or summarize some of the things you found and then explain it in your own terms. Like, does this make sense to you? Do you feel the same way? Like, do you feel you want those things that they say programming can offer for you? Like, kind of work through that on your own here. And you can respond in a discussion. This is a discussion page, so you can spend a little bit more time formulating your ideas than you would normally do in a Discord thread or just on a Discord channel. Also, by putting it here in the discussion page, you'll be able to see each other's ideas and maybe inspired by each other, or may have thoughts or responses to each other. So that's why it's a discussion page. You can respond in video form if you want, like record yourself talking and upload it in this page. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Actually, let me see. Maybe it'll let me. Yeah, so upload/record media. You can do that. Or you could record it and upload it. Or you could put it on YouTube and link to it. Or you could make a bunch of GIFs and put them together. I don't know. Anything you can put here will be fine. Okay, so that's how that works. Code practice, this is pretty different, so let me show you how this works. This is going to be an actual assignment, but it's a pretty small assignment, I hope. So the way this works is it takes you over here to Google. This is Google Colab, and if you remember, I did an intro of this on Friday. So I'm recording this on Monday. I did an intro to explain just kind of how Colab works on Friday. So this is an actual Colab notebook that I'm sending you and inviting you to work on. I hope it's pretty straightforward. That was my intention anyway. The first thing you should do, and I'll probably add a note here, is before you start working or doing anything or running code, you need to go to File and then save a copy in Drive right here. So save a copy in Drive is going to put a copy in your Google Drive so that you aren't trying to run or trying to edit mine. You can actually run code in my notebook, but that's not going to let you learn how to do it because each of these has something you're supposed to change about it or do with it or think about with it. So I want you to make your own copy and then complete each of these. And each of these is pretty straightforward, I hope. I mean, that was my intention. Each of these, you need to read carefully what I've asked you to do and kind of get to the end of it, and that's it, right? I'll just add a little bit here while I'm thinking about it. Add any notes for yourself below, just in case you feel like you need to add anything down here. And as you can see, as I'm doing with this interface, you just click on, or you hover sort of near the middle, and you can do plus text or plus code to insert either kind of cell right there, or you can just go to plus code or plus text up here. So, That's all it is. So that's the code practice. When you're done with this, what you need to do is share the URL and then submit it in Canvas. So let me see if Canvas will let me do that. So I need to first of all check the sharing permissions on this, and this is now what you would do. You go here, make sure that anyone on the internet can view, and then copy the link. And then here, when you're ready to submit, you go to Submit Assignment, and then for website URL, you do like that, and Submit Assignment. And that's all you should do. One thing that you should not do, and I say this now, and I assume some of you will probably end up doing this, and it's not the end of the world, but it's really inconvenient for me, so please don't, is if you go to, you might see this and think, oh, this is already in Google Drive. I can submit this through Google Drive. I can go to Google Drive and I can find that document, and I'm just gonna, yeah, it's not gonna let me do it now, but if you are actually using yours, it would try to find and load your Google Drive, and it'd be like, hey, here's that notebook I just worked on. I can just submit it like that. And Canvas will say, yeah, it worked, but when I see it, I will say, no, it didn't work because I can't see it. Because the way that Canvas handles it tries to embed the Colab notebook, and Colab notebooks don't work that way, and so it gets very confused, and I basically see a blank screen. So I can usually debug it and figure it out, but I'd rather not have to. So if you don't mind, just submit it as a URL right here. That's it, right? In fact, I wish I could disable these different submission formats, but Canvas won't allow me. So that's code practice number 1. There's actually 4 of these, and they're all pretty similar. They have different kinds of things I'm asking you to do, but they are hopefully self-explanatory, self-contained. I will spend time in class, though, kind of talking through them, especially after you've worked on code practice number 1. Let me go ahead and warn you about one thing in code practice number 1. This last bit of code here is not going to work. So that's on purpose. Your challenge is to figure out what to do when you hit an error. And you'll see a message pop up, and my encouragement, my exhortation to you is don't freak out if you see an error message. Error messages are good, especially in Python, because Python error messages are really verbose. They often will tell you exactly what you did wrong and how to fix it. And even if they don't, Colab notebooks here are set up so that they actually include a link you can click to automatically search Stack Overflow, which is what you do anyway whenever you're trying to debug code and you can't figure something out. You go search Stack Overflow. And that's a website where people share and help each other solve code problems. So that's what you do whenever you run into an error. So that's actually just built into the interface here in Colab. In fact, maybe I'll go ahead and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm running this code for the first time on this notebook, so it had to connect to a server and see, I got an error, so what do I do about this? This button right here, search Stack Overflow, that might help, it might not, actually. I will go ahead and tell you, because this is a pretty vague kind of problem to have, a really generalized kind of problem. It's a really kind of entry-level issue that you run into sometimes if you have a typo, or if you're still trying to figure out what's what. So you may not find a straightforward answer on Stack Overflow. But you might, and that might be helpful. The other thing you can do is help each other figure this out. Like if you get to this and you just spend a little time Googling and DuckDuckGoing or whatever, you can't figure it out, go into our Discord, ask in the tech supports channel, hey, has anyone figured this out yet? Why isn't this working? How do you fix it? And I bet you will find someone can help you explain, can explain it to you. I'm going to try to resist explaining it to you all so that you can work on figuring these things out for yourself. But I do know what's going on there. So so yeah, that was code practice 1 that I was showing, and then I've moved on here to Friday's class. As you can see, Friday's class is going to be in Zoom, and I've got a link here to Zoom, so you can click on that. The way that Zoom links work, I can't actually link directly to a specific meeting, otherwise I would have just embedded a link directly to the meeting for that day. But what you have to do is you go to the Zoom page, and then you look, okay, it's Friday, February 5th, I'm in section 2, which is at 2:50, so here's my link, and I'll just join it whenever it's time. These meetings are not currently running, but once they are running, then the join link will work, and you should be able to go to that meeting and join us there. So we'll be doing that on this Friday. The reason for doing it on Friday is that if you've completed code practice number 1, I think it will be useful to debrief that and kind of talk through kind of how things went and how you figured out different parts of it, and that we'll go from there. Okay, so the other thing I guess I should mention that I haven't yet, and as you can see the after class, before class structure here, this is reminding me of one of the other things I'd like you to do after you've learned a bit about what Kathy O'Neill is talking about when she talks about weapons of math destruction. Go into our Discord, and you can just use general for stuff like this. See if you can find other examples of weapons of math destruction in the real world. She mentions several in her talks. One of them is the college ranking system, the U.S. News and World Report college ranking system, which you're probably very familiar with. That's one of her weapons of math destruction that she talks about. So see if you can think of anything else like that, like a scoring system or any kind of way in which people are using math to obfuscate something or manipulate people. There's a lot of COVID-19 and vaccine dashboards. There's a lot of data being thrown around right now. Is it all being used, ethically or correctly? And weapons of math destruction don't have to be malicious, too. It's worth mentioning. It could just be something that's kind of sloppily put together in a way that confuses people or gives them the wrong message with math. So see if you can think of anything like that. Especially if it's something that leads people to make decisions or helps people make decisions. That could be a weapon of math destruction if you can find one. Okay, so that's all that. Moving ahead then, like the next bit of class, we'll be looking at The Soft Truth by Lee Alexander. And I'm asking you to write a short summary of that story, including a explanation of what you think happens at the end. It's basically a Black Mirror episode in short story form, I would say, if you know Black Mirror. The ending is kind of unusual. It's kind of confusing, or I would say it's ambiguous, not so much confusing. And you may be confused by it, and that's okay, but I want you to speculate. I want you to come up with an idea based on your understanding. If you're totally lost, again, use Discord. Like, ask for help, ask what the heck's going on here, what do you all think, and see if anyone else has an idea, and if you think they're right, then maybe agree with them, and then that's your summary there. You could add that in there. Or they may be totally off, and you might be convinced that you're right, and then kind of go from there. It's not something that we can really, we can talk about it. It's not really a debate. It's just that I think people can see it in different ways with equal validity, and that's interesting. But you have to read the story to know what I'm talking about, so please do that. I'll add more of a prompt here for this. So moving ahead, code practice number 2 is pretty similar, hopefully fairly straightforward. I'm not going to click through these. I just want to kind of go through the whole module in case to make sure there's not something else I need to explain. Yeah, I don't think so. So Monday, February 8th, it'll be another live stream via Twitch, and I will talk about Soft Truth, and I'll give you my interpretation of what I think is happening at the ending, but it'll be really helpful for me to see your ideas before then. So please add them to that discussion page or talk about it in Discord, so that I can see what you're thinking and either kind of turn the ship in a different direction if I think you all are kind of taking it the wrong way, or just kind of run with whatever you're presenting if you're on the same page as me. I have a way of thinking about it. Then there's more to read afterwards. Making of YouTube Radical, it's an article. It's New York Times, so actually I don't know if it's going to be paywalled. I should check. If it is, I'll find a way to give it to you. It looks like it's going to work okay. But if you want to learn more about this particular story, the author of this, Kevin Roos, has also done a podcast called Rabbit Hole. It's like 7 or 8 episodes. If you really want to get into it, really interesting, and it goes beyond the main story there. It goes into other people's stories. Basically, people radicalized by YouTube. And then there's another code practice. So moving through that. Show that, but some of these do have a bit more in them, and I need to take a look at those again, but I will talk about them in class too as they come up. So going ahead, Wednesday, February 10th, this is the first day when I'm going to offer a face-to-face option for you all. So if you would like that, I've actually, since it looks like numbers wise it's a minority, like actually a majority of this class, both sections, seems to prefer an online experience. I am going to provide a face-to-face experience, but I'm not going to assume that everyone is going to be there. If I show up, I'm not going to count on everyone to show up. In fact, I'm assuming you won't. And just to kind of make sure that at least some people will show up, I would like for you to sign up ahead of time. You can go ahead and sign up now if you want, if you already know now that you're going to do this. And I couldn't think of any other way to do this, so I just did a Sign Up Genius, signupgenius.com, super easy. Just click on, where you want to go. I've hardly ever used this. Is this? Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I wasn't even sure what I was reading here. But yeah, so you click on whichever, and this is on February 10th. So you click on whichever section is yours, like that you want to sign up for. And I guess, theoretically, let's say one of them fills up, and you really want to come, you could always come to the other one. It doesn't matter to me. Yeah, so I guess you just click whichever, and then you hit submit and sign up. And I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to take up a spot with myself, because I'll be there anyway. And then what's going to happen on that day is I will introduce or talk through some things on a Zoom conference with whoever is not there in person, and kind of get you all started. And then I will kind of chat and have that same conversation with people that are there face to face. And also we'll probably just spend some time introducing ourselves to each other and getting to know each other a bit. Okay, so after that, I would like you to watch an episode of Netflix's Black Mirror called Hang the DJ. I'll talk a bit about this more as we get closer to it. I'm not going to just kind of assume or take for granted that everyone has a Netflix account. There are ways to get a free trial. That's a way to give you access to this, and I can say more about that later. But basically, I do want to make sure everyone has access to this. If you think it's going to be an issue or a challenge, let me know, and I will try to help come up with something that'll work for you. Hang the DJ is an episode that I guess in terms of content warnings, it's as a Black Mirror episode, it's not as dark as many of them, but it is still fairly dark, I guess thematically, and it's about a couple and their dating life, essentially, and a lot of other stuff, but there's a lot of adults or mature themes and sexuality in it. I guess I'll just put it that way. It's not, I don't think it's explicit or graphic, but it is something that is the subject of the episode, adults dating one another. And so that's what you see when you watch that episode. But there's more than that going on too, of course. Okay, so we'll talk about that on the subsequent day of class. And actually what I want to do for that conversation, this is Friday the 12th now, so we're going ahead a bit here, is I want to have that conversation in Discord. So that'll be probably just a text conversation, although I might make the voice channel open just in case. By the way, for most of these pages, I have a lot more that I'm going to add. So what I'll do is, let's see, let me go back. I don't know, it takes a little long on these to pop up. But like on Monday, since it is a live stream via Twitch, what I'll do is I'll include down here the notes for the day, including like my slides if I have any, and then a link to the archived versions of those lectures on YouTube so that you'll have access to them right here if you look back at it after the fact. Those things don't exist yet, so I can't put them here. I'll also fill in like goals for the day for each day, basically to give myself an outline for what we're going to do, and for you to have as well. Okay, so I don't remember what page I was on. Let me just go back to the front here for modules and see if there's anything else I need to jump to. Yeah, I don't think so. The only thing that I think does warrant a little bit of explanation coming up is I would like for you to experience and experiment with this thing called Storyface, and here's a link to it. I should double check that this link works. It does, good, okay. Or you can also use it in a web browser. Let's see if that works. Actually, I don't want to do that because I already have my webcam running and it'll get confused if I try to run it right now. I just want to make it clear because it's not listed here, and I'll talk about it before as we get to it, but Storyface is a work of fiction. It's meant to be weird and uncomfortable when you experience it, but that's on purpose. Like, it's a work of art, like it's not real. So some people, last time I assigned this in a class, were kind of freaked out by it, and I think that was because they thought it was real. It's not real, just FYI. So it's surprisingly compelling or interesting how it actually seems real, but it's all pre-scripted, it's all coded. Anyway, so one more code practice, and that code practice has a bit more kind of opportunity for expansion and for you to kind of try to put an idea together. And then we'll kind of finish things up here on Monday the 15th. I think after that, it's just the end of this module. The next module is going to be on artificial intelligence. We'll probably take a day maybe to kind of catch up and reflect between the two, and then jump into AI after that. But I'll have another set of pages, another module to share with you. I mean, I already have it, it's just not published yet. That one's actually is already pretty well done. But this one I had to put together based on a bunch of other stuff. So that's why it took me a long time to get it published. So that's about all I have to say for explaining things. This is all I would have been doing today in class if we had a synchronous class. So thanks for your patience. Sorry I wasn't ready at 1:40 and 2:50 today or even last week. It really should have been done last week, but I've been playing catch up all week, but I am catching up, as you can see, hopefully. So I hope that helps. And also, because it's on like pre-recorded video, you can rewind and replay any parts of it if you find anything I've said confusing or you want to hear it again. Of course, if you do find things confusing or you want to understand it better, then please reach out. But otherwise, I'm recording this Monday. I'll be uploading it shortly. The next thing for this class is 2 things for you to read or learn about on programming, and a discussion to contribute to. And then I'll be, and actually I'm going to move this. Let me see if I can I'm just going to do this now while I'm recording. Why not? I'm going to move this here. because I actually want this to be part of something that you can work on now before Wednesday. And then, on Wednesday we will have a live stream. I'll just be live streaming. I might end up actually needing to do that from school because I'm going to have my morning classes in person. So that'll be interesting, but hopefully I'll be able to make it home by 1:40. Okay, thanks for watching this. If you have questions or anything else, please let me know, and I hope you're having a good evening. Bye.